Hello. Hey fellas, welcome back to the skin tier list rankings thing. If you're new, please watch the first part. If you're returning, then I'm sorry. The only thing I'll remind quick is that I cover all post 4.6 skins once I'm done all the pre 4.6 skins, just in case anyone's confused at why all these new skins are missing from the list. Anyway, this video will pick up directly where it left off, starting with... insert character here, please. Evie. Black Ice. There may not be a weapon that comes with this, but honestly it still works with basically every other weapon. The whole skin is really maneuverable and fits really well with others. It's also one of them that just kind of looks like an alt, doesn't stray away from the original character at all, and just serves to make the original character look better. Basically a glow up. It's got fancy ice effects, the hair is just recolored but looks fantastic. Details are, you know, not much but really great. It's simple but different. It's basically Northern Watch conceptually, and just like Northern Watch, the details are simple and a lot of the original model was carried over, but it just looks fantastically done. You couldn't even really tell too hard it was carried over. The only downside is no weapon and it looks simple, but even that could be argued to be a decent thing. Maybe I'm biased for these like alternate character skins, but I'm gonna put this in like low S. Starglam. A recolor with hairpins and glasses. The colors are pretty obnoxious. The whole skin is pretty meh. The glasses are alright. Not many changes, and the changes are obtuse at best. Very out there. What was that word I used? Oh yeah, obnoxious. And in the end it's just a recolor, so, and that in combination with the fact that it's just kind of obnoxious means it's going down to like D. Troublemaker. I'm not sure why this one's so popular. Maybe it just was very popular because it's one of her only good ones. Anyway, the gun is very detailed for an older skin. The hair looks nice. I mean, edgy, but you know, does look good. The body is a little dull, not many details. Like I said before, I'm not really a fan of the whole I'm wearing normal clothes aesthetic, but the gun effects are really sick. The skin is also kind of obtuse, similar to Starglam, but like a more decent version of that. Not really a whole ton to say with it. It's fine, but the highlight is clearly the weapon, and the body's just kind of passable. Where are you? Evidently it's in C. Merrymaker is actually pretty similar to Troublemaker. Oh, the names are actually pretty similar too. It's cute. I like it. The body still isn't too interesting, but it really works. A Christmas skin for Evie is like the best fit that a Christmas skin could have with any character, honestly. It's got cute little bows, nice little bells. The weapon is nice and reasonably detailed, but really only works with this skin. In my opinion, it's just kind of a better version of Troublemaker, where the weapon is similarly detailed, but a bit worse, and the body's a lot better, kind of evening itself out and being less jarring. B tier. Bewitching. Bewitching. Also a pretty interestingly fitting theme for Evie. I mean, she is a witch after all. She's got a nice emo hat hair combo. I really appreciate that. I feel like the weapon's the clear highlight. It's kind of simple, but at the same time, it's just really satisfying and nice to use. It's got really cool effects to boot. Halloween themes are always, in general, pretty, and like I said, it works out really well for Evie. One big missed opportunity, I feel the skirt is really plain for sure. And overall, there's not too many details, but it doesn't really take away from it. It's just, you know, slightly missed opportunity. A tier. Sweet Shop. These ones are weird. The hair looks nice. Details are abundant and quite good. The quality is really nice. It aligns with the theme really well. I just don't really like the theme. It looks really sticky and gross. Like, honestly, she looks more tasty than anything. Maybe it's just me, but like, I look at this skin, I don't want to use it, I want to eat it. And I can't get over just how sticky it looks. It makes me uncomfortable, but I can't deny that it is still good and really detailed and nice. So like, it's kind of got this weird middle ground where I can see the effort that was put into it, but also it makes me uncomfortable. So that'd be B tier for me. Toothache. It has more details with the theme than the other one does. The hat and hair look pretty nice, but still looks all sticky. Obviously the same problems, but I think this one's a little better. Alrighty, we are done with Evie. Moving on to Fernando. Onslaught. This skin is nice. It's obviously basically just a recolor, so it's not going to rank particularly high. It's very Fernando though. It's similar to, say, Northern Watch or Black Ice. Not nearly as good because it's not quite as creative or anything like that. It's a nice change from his default. It looks a bit slick. It's kind of just a modernized version of his default. But yeah, there isn't many extra fancy details or anything like that, and there is no weapon aside from his shield, which looks pretty nice. It's not bad. It's just naturally it's not going to be very high. I find it fun to rank these kinds of recolor skins even though I know they're not going to be very high. C tier. God of War. 'Tis unobtainable these days. Crazy. It's a nice alternate skin, nothing really offensive. All the changes are nice changes. It's a few strange color choices, like I don't know why the chains are purple. they're cool, but yeah. The shield textures also don't really match the other textures, which is a bit odd. Overall, not too impressive skin, but I mean, it's a nice, decent change. Still very Fernando-esque. B tier. Next up is FN01 Helios. This was, I think, one of the very first Transformers looking skins, and definitely the best one, I would say. It's very classy. Really a classic Fernando skin at this point. It's Fernando! The effects are really, really good. The helmet and the flume look sick, and it has a ton of details for like a generally older skin at this point. The quality is surprisingly good as well for, again, being an older skin. Weapons aren't too unique, but, you know, fit the skin really well. I'd say solid S tier. FN01 Erebos? Erebos?
Erebus.
It's just the cooler recolor. I like red, so That's it. Enforcer is very not Fernando and very not Paladins. So, you know, naturally, since it's a very real world thing they're trying to replicate, it really takes you out of the game. Nothing fantasy about it, really. The whole skin isn't too offensive. I mean, it sticks to the theme well, but it is quite bland, and there are very little details, if really any. The weapons are cool, I guess. The only kind of interesting looking part about it, really. The whole skin is like, it's exactly what they wanted it to be, and it really doesn't stray from the original idea at all. It's just really boring. I don't really know how else to say it. Plus, in general, just looking at it, nothing pops. It's just kind of bland. Again, nothing's wrong with it. It's just kind of bland and weird concept for a fantasy game. C tier. Nightmare. This is, quality-wise, probably one of, if not the best skin in the entire game. The whole thing flows and blends really, really well. The effects are crazy good. Super detailed without, you know, excess noise. Weapon designs are terrific. Headpiece is sick. Shoulder pads, you know, slightly overdone maybe, but it's still cool. Maybe the belt could be a little more interesting. I'm really being petty about that, but, you know, the abyssal themes in general are really cool. I feel like the only thing I can really say about this skin is it's a little repetitive, like the designs overall and the details overall, a little bit repetitive. It really doesn't take anything away in my opinion, but I could see how the argument could be valid. In any case, S tier for sure. Sanguine? I don't know how to say that. I don't like the red. Fire's cool though. Digitized. It just kind of looks like they wanted to make something that looks cool. And I gotta admit, like every time I look at this skin, it makes my brain go ooh. Because like the effects look really cool. It's really flashy, but when I look at this skin, like that's all I see. There's nothing else really interesting about it. It doesn't really have a theme. It's just supposed to be really flashy. Kind of looks like Halo-ish. All I wrote down was just very shiny ooh, flashy ooh, shiny shiny ooh. I mean, like that's kind of all it is. It doesn't really even match up to the other digitized skins, but it looks really cool. It's really slick looking, just super flashy. So yeah, held back by a lot, but also boosts forward by its effect quality, I guess. A tier. Shore Patrol. Okay, well, one thing to get out of the way is I don't really like summer skins, especially dude summer skins. Generally speaking, the ladies summer skins, they put a little more effort into them to make them, I don't know, look interesting one way or another. We'll get to those. But for the dudes, and especially this skin, like, yeah, it's boring. Swimsuits and a water gun for summer. Sick. Like, at this point, they've done that for so many skins. He has tattoos, which is like, I don't know, something. Seriously though, like a swimsuit, it's boring. I'm sorry. I have also elegantly written tweet tweet whistle dump. There's also a rather pronounced bulge, but yeah, there's no details. It's a real life piece of clothing, takes you completely out of the game. It is Fernando, I guess, but that's like the only thing I'll give this skin. Like I said, generally speaking, male beach skins are boring. We're gonna come back to this concept a few times because there's a few skins that are basically exactly the same as the skin. The water gun is like, it's cool, I guess. It's kind of passable. I don't like it. Honestly, I take it back. Water gun isn't cool. It's redundant and it's dumb, and what else could they have done? Even in the context of a beach skin, it's boring, and that says something. I know there's some people out there that really do get up to this shit, so for that I apologize, but no, this is a bad skin. I won't put him straight into F tier. He can go into D tier, because I mean, it is kind of funny, I guess. Yeah, sure, I'll give him that. Beach Bash. Why did they make this? It's like hardly different. Like, there's no point. The only thing you can recolor is like his pants. There's like only a couple things you can even recolor. His pants kind of look like tighty whities, and that makes me go haha. And the only thing the skin has going for it is that it's funny anyway, so. Okay, now Furia. Cold Snap. Blue is nice. Ice is nice in general. That's kind of just the theme of this skin, ice. But, you know, it is still very sleek, very cool looking. It's got a halo. Even though it's a different outfit, you know, it's still really Furia. Kind of alternate clothes kind of deal. Again, the hair and wings glow, which is really cool. The gloves are kind of weirdly different, but also looks kind of unique. So, yeah. The skin, like, it's not really too interesting or creative, but it does look really cool for what they did to it. It's just a really nice looking basic skin. I would use this. A tier. Aurora. The wings are a little less satisfying than the default. The armor's nice, though. Honestly, everything's nice. There's really nothing bad about this skin. It's really high quality. The details are appropriate enough. Nothing crazy good, but still pretty good. The hair is a style. It's different. It's refreshing. The sword is always cool because it's, you know, a sword. And yeah, it's nicely detailed. High quality. A tier. Battlesuit Angel. Voice pack cringe.
Battlesuit Angel.
Nah. I mean, it is, but, you know, skin's pretty good, though. This one's really slick for being a battlesuit, you know. The colors are quite nice. Doesn't look plasticky like a lot of the other battlesuits. Yeah, it's probably the best of those skins, I'd say. There's really nothing offensive. The proportions are really nice, which these battlesuit skins seems to have difficulty with. The face looks really nice. The sword is also nice. Not really standout, but it is nice. Kind of the same deal with the wings as the last skin. They're nice, but, you know, they're not super satisfying. I think the defaults are probably better. But yeah, A tier again. Soulfire. The swords are really, really cool. I like them. Her fit is really down to business. Her hair is cool and fiery, and those horn thingies are really cool. The armor looks like she kind of made it herself, and that's pretty epic. The whole theme is actually really great. I really enjoy the skin. I don't know what I'm referring to, but I said eye color stuff. Oh yeah, also she has sword wings. I really like sword wings. Honestly, that probably bumps it up really way higher than it should, but I really like sword wings. Overall, the colors are pretty unique too. The details aren't crazy, but they're very good, and the quality is, you know, it's a modern skin, so it's very good as well. There's really no real flaws that I can see with this entire skin. S tier. Furia tends to have very high skins. Dragon Slayer. This one's better. Bloody face, which is cool. I mean, I know it's not blood. It's probably like a tattoo or something, but it's really cool. Soul Stealer. Perpetually Mad Demon Girl. They still managed to make her look like Furia while still fitting the theme very well. I mean, like, compare that to, I don't know, the Maeve skin. She doesn't really look like Maeve, but this one still looks like Furia, so that's pretty impressive, I would say. Batwings. A little obvious, but it's still pretty cool. The voice pack is like ultra horny, as usual with these skins. Not really a huge fan, but I can tell you some people are. Horns and hair and weapons are all really cool. She's super shiny. I mean, that's cool, I guess. As usual with Furia skins, there's really no distinct faults. The theme is, you know, a bit on the nose with demons and succubi and stuff like that, but I do think they did an especially good job at adapting the whole demonic / abyss thing into Furia herself. Just seems like a demon version of her and doesn't really stray too far from that, which is... That's like S tier, isn't it? That's A tier. Okay. A tier. Okay, Grohk.
Tribesman.
I do oddly like this skin a lot, but I mean, it is basically just a recolor, so it's not going to be very high. It does not come with a weapon. Cool mask though. Nice little horns. The belt's got a face on it. Doesn't really have any details to speak of, and the back of the head looks terrible. I might like it, but it's not really a very standout alternate to his default. It honestly could just be mistaken as the default, but you know, with a mask. Its age shows a lot as well. The fur leaves, basically all of it is affected. C tier. I like the skin, but I guess I gotta be fair and stuff. Brimstone. Looks like a demon Grohk, which is really cool. He's got a goatee. Nice details in the skin and the armor. Not crazy, but nice. Super gnarly weapon. Not too creative, but it looks really cool. The helmet looks nice and glowy. He's got some Klingon freaking shoulders. Overall, a really quality skin, but unfortunately, you know, there's not much to talk about because he's not wearing much. But I would say the transition from Grohk into Demon Grohk is actually really, really good, even though there's not much to show for it. B tier. Neon Demon. Nothing really pops out, first of all. It's both cool and basic at the same time. I'm not sure how to describe that. I like the mask, but the horn textures don't really look great to me. The looping glowiness just isn't good. The details are good, but don't look good. You know what I mean? There's a few chinks in his armor that look really naked as well. It's overall pretty good, especially since it brought back a really old concept, which in the end the concept is pretty cool. It's all Mad Max-ish, but it's oddly inconsistent with its quality and with its details, and just doesn't look very slick and just isn't very pleasing to the eye at all. It's alright. B tier. Chieftain. It looks real intimidating for sure. Grohk kind of has this thing where he just doesn't really wear too much, unfortunately, so it kind of just looks like his other skins. Like, it just looks like default Grohk, but evolved more, like his second evolution per se. He's got big old horns, pretty cool. The details look fine, but not really where it would make a lot of difference. There's also just a lot of horns in general. They look kind of cool, but I mean, it's a lot. Bro, why are his abs so pointy? Somehow the skin hits the mark for being both cool and boring to me. Pretty good quality overall though. It is B tier, yes. B tier. Alright, Grover. Doom Shroom. Very old and chunky looking. Doesn't make it bad, but it's just very noticeable. Not very detailed because, again, old. Concept's cute though. I mean, for a tree, there's not too many concepts you can really go with, so this one's pretty good, I'd say. A little on the nose, but pretty good. His weapon is a little dull. It's just kind of like his default axe, but covered in jizz. The shrooms and stuff are all gross, but cool. He also looks high as fuck. A little gross maybe, but not that offensive. Plus, I mean, I know what you're all thinking of when you're looking at this skin. So relax. It's supposed to be fungus, you know that. Yeah, C tier. Grobot. Grobot? Nice concept. It's like an anti-Grover. The weapon's super baller. Little plant on his head, gotta love it. I think it's pretty appropriately detailed for being a mossy robot. The proportions are a little bit awkward though. Big shoulders and his thighs are a little skinny. Never been too much of a fan of this skin, but I really appreciate what it was going for. You know, the antithesis of Grover. Save the trees and all that stuff. This guy's here to slice them all down. Or burn them all down, whatever. B tier. Soul Brer. Soul Brer. Yeah, spooky as fuck. I love the scythe. I mean, I'm a sucker for scythes in general, but this just looks, I love it. Surprising amount of details, looks very slick. The effects are sick, especially on the leaves. The face and antlers are sick. I can't really narrow down a specific theme. Stuff like the lantern and the spine are nice touches. I would like to know the theme more so, but I guess it's not super necessary. Also, still being a tree, it means you can't really put as much effort into it as like a big skin with armor and clothing and all that. So it is a bit lacking in that regard. Still really, really good though. I'd say lower S tier for sure. Seeping Corruption, same coolness, but less creative color use. Still cool colors though. Shit, we're already done with Grover. Imani. Omega. Really slick. Like, details are through the roof. That weird ass scorpion hair is sick. Boot claws and dragons on her arms. Unicorn visor thing. Whole thing's super shiny. The horns really aren't out of place like a lot of other skins. And of course the colors change depending on gameplay. And you can see her face. AKA you can actually see Imani through the Omega-ness. For all the Omega skins that they've done, this is probably the most top tier one. Doesn't super fit in the whole Fantasy Paladins thing, but I mean, I'll give it a pass. It's really good. Honestly, I like the skin enough to where it's basically by default default one of my favorite skins, so I'm gonna put this in SS tier. I think it deserves to be up there. Plus the fact that it costs like 2,400 crystals, like it better f***ing be worth it. Steel forged. It's pretty slick. Lizzie immediately noticed the legs are a little bit repetitive. Didn't bother me at first, but the more I saw it, it bothers me now. Short hair Imani is just less cool Imani. The horns are really cool though, and the gloves are really cool. Her clothes and skirt are also pretty nice. Shoulders are all pointy. Her lips are red as heck. I don't know how much to include her dragon. Like, is that part of the skin? I guess it is part of the skin. It's one of her weapons after all. But yeah, the dragon looks really, really dope. Oh, dopey. I was just mindlessly reading my script. I didn't say dope, I said it looks dopey. Okay. B2. Dragon Forged. It's hardly different, it's just red. That's it. Stellar Sorceress. I don't like the hair. It's just too much. I will say first off, this is probably the lowest tier, like Sailor Moon, Stellar style skins. I'm not a big fan of this one. I don't like the hair. The legs are a little boring. She has a cool claw ring thing, but arms aren't really too interesting, especially considering her arms are supposed to be like, you know, her weapons. All the sparkles and stuff are cool, but you know, those are kind of universal with all the Stellar skins. Certainly not a knock, but you know, it takes away a bit of the originality. The dress itself is also a bit dull, unfortunately. The bow at the front also looks a bit odd. There's also a weird belt thing. Like, what's going on there? Not too detailed overall. I feel like it has the universal charm and good details and stuff that the Stellar skins in general have, but this is just probably the weakest executed, in my opinion. It's got a pretty interesting dragon, though. Imani. Or, wait, no. First I gotta say the tier. Where is it? C tier, right? C tier. Also, I don't remember by now. Is this the first Stellar skin we've gone through? Because I am not going through all the recolors. I'm just not. So I'll just go through the one that's generally considered to be the default version of it and leave it at that. Imani. This one's, it's kind of nice. It's kind of boring in concept, but it's got a ton of nice details. Really cool glowy hair. She's got, you know, faces on her chest and knees and stuff, so I guess that's a little bit redundant. The gauntlets are really sick, both with the hands themselves and the symbol that changes with gameplay. The overarching fire effects are really good. The belt is cringe, but good. Also, I like the blue lipstick. Like I said, kind of a boring concept to design on, but it was executed pretty well in my opinion. Really stands out in a boring way. I don't know how to describe that, but it is a good skin, quality and detail-wise. A tier. Genesis. Really interesting color choices. I like them a lot. Lipstick also changed color. Let's go. Yeah, I guess that's it. Alright, next up, Captain Falcon. This guy's kind of an awkward case as none of his skins are actually unique full skins. They're all just recolors with occasionally few changes in textures. This isn't super surprising since most of his skins were released all the way back in January 21st of 1999, so a lot of his skins are also very concrete references to his home series. For instance, his white and pink alt alluding to the character of Jodie Summers, and his red alt referencing Blood Falcon, alongside slapping on Blood Falcon's unique logo. Still, just because these are more solid references than most, since they're all recolors, they really don't compare to the high tiers, truly. Though his melee alts specifically have an extremely unique effect of changing the actual gameplay of the character himself. You see, Falcon's ECB varies slightly with each costume, with his green alt's ECB being the widest and his default ECB being the thinnest. This change really doesn't do anything. The difference is so slight, it's really hardly anything more than a novelty. But since we are ranking him, his default and all his other recolors are going to be in C tier. His green recolor will go in low B because f you, gameplay changes are hype, and Blood Falcon will place just behind him because he's cool and has the largest ECB behind the green one, which apparently is good. So Inara, Ice Walker. When I think of Inara, I automatically associate her with this skin as well, and that just goes to show how much this skin reflects Inara in a strange backwards fashion. That would also mean this skin is very old, but it is very nicely detailed. Also somewhat simple, but in a good way, I would argue. In my opinion, probably the perfect transition from her default to a kind of different yet still similar. Plus the idea of changing from rock to ice, that's pretty cool. I really like the hair and headpiece as well. Blue skin, let's go. The staff is nothing special, but it's still generally nice. Nothing too different. Overall, the colors are very samey, but it's fitting, and I think they did pretty well for what it's worth. Color-wise, I mean. One of my favorite skins for an art, if not my actual favorite. I don't quite remember. Especially for something so old. S tier. Iron Madame. Similar to the idea of Ice Walker, they changed every kind of rock instance into metal. Pretty gnarly. There aren't too many details, but the ones they have are pretty cool. There are a few issues I have with this skin though. The skirt and breastplates are very plain. Certainly a bit off. The headpiece is interesting to say the least. I really like the theme. Well, I mean, it stands out for sure. I kind of have a hard time describing this skin. The word that I keep on thinking of is janky. I like the idea of, you know, the mask and kind of looking statuesque, but there's a ton of these spiky things that stick out of her, making it look kind of clunky, not really very sleek. The headpiece looks a bit strange, and the weapon is certainly very heavy. Again, not really sleek. It feels cool to use, but I'm not a fan of the faces on the weapon either. Even though the weapon does look a bit chunky though, it is really detailed and honestly really cool. I think my brain thinks the concept is really cool, but when actually looking at it, I do have a few problems with it. Nothing in particular pops out, and everything that does, the reason why it pops out is because it looks a bit strange. One gameplay thing though is that her wall looks really cool. But yeah, B tier. Digitized. How do I say this? This is one of the most simple design skins, especially considering the digitized ones, but it's still very pleasing to look at. I mean, I guess skin tight stuff looks pretty nice. The body is mostly simple, but the boots and jewel things and the ribbons are all really nice. Nothing stands out in a poor way. In fact, the simplicity of it all weirdly stands out in a very nice way. Very slick, very lovely to look at. The effects in-game and otherwise are also very nice. The hair/hairpiece and face are not very Inara, but they do look good. And the weapon is really cool, like an old magical staff in a really old game or something like that. Lots of cool effects everywhere. Not over complex, very sleek and very lovely to look at. A tier. Stellar Sentinel, another stellar skin. I find this one also pretty similar to digitized, in the case that it's pretty simple but also looks pretty nice. Quite stylized, kind of the same generic theme of the stellar stuff, but looks very pretty and somewhat sleek. Again, the hair and headpiece are very pretty. The clothing is quite, I would like to say, simple and gets the point across. Nothing too crazy, but you know, certainly works to get across the feel they're looking for. The starry effects are pretty as always with all these stellar skins. There's also these big floating stars flying around her, replacing the floating rocks. Really cool. The staff is also really cool, one of my favorites. Pretty simple, but very aesthetically pleasing and fits with the skin extremely well. I also like her boots, for whatever that's worth. The front of her legs are definitely a bit boring. Like, it seems like it's just cut right off to display how thick she is. That's the biggest gripe I have. Looks a bit jarring. Other than that, I'd say the skin is very pretty, but nothing to super stand out. Low A tier. Lady Liberty, another America skin, so that's like, okay. Apparently the power went out when I was writing this. Nice. This skin in particular for her is very high quality, tons of detail here. Like, just the general skin detail and stuff is really good, not overdone at all. The skirt itself is boring, but looks good anyway. Plus, I mean, obviously the concept is... What the hell's the statue called? One sec. Statue of Liberty. Right, Statue of Liberty. It's based on the Statue of Liberty, obviously, but somehow they made it really look like Inara, which I think is pretty commendable. Overall, the concept is generally like less America and more just a cool concept in general, even though it's kind of labeled as an America skin anyway. It's just straight up a cool concept. The staff as the torch is pretty dope, maybe a little bulky, but it's cool. The colors are nice as well. They didn't make her completely greeny, which is quite nice. The flag is a cool idea as well. Very America, but still good. What the hell are those floaty star things, though? Like bomb stars? Jet stars? I think they integrated the concept idea with the character very well, but it doesn't really stray too much further than that. Not too much creative liberty, per se. See what I did there? High B tier. Okay, that's it for Inara. Next is Io. Starting with Pirate's Treasure. First of all, Luna has a hat. Also, Io has a hat. And also, the bow has a hat. Those are major ops in my opinion. I like the clothing a lot. This is definitely one of the better, more quote-unquote creative looking pirate skins. It's less straight piratey and more has kind of a mix of Victorian piratey kind of look to it. Clothing looks really lovely. Tight in a non-weird way, you know what I mean? Oddly quite slick. The bow's got some cool sword thingies, but like, it looks a little ramshackle, and the curves are dull. The skin's honestly just Io in a pirate cosplay. Like, you can't really get more Io than that. I wouldn't say it's integrated in an interesting way. It's just kind of like, well, like I said, Io in a pirate suit. But the clothing is nicely similar to the original in shape and concept, and her bows kind of simulate her original braids quite nicely. The theme of pirate is very overplayed. Not too interesting of a concept, but I would say this one does it pretty well. I don't know how much of a fan I am of the color of tail, though. I don't know. That's just me. I didn't even write anything about 8 Oceans, the recolor for Pirate's Treasure, but it's below. That's it. Stellar Protector. I like these sets of skins, then you can directly compare them to each other. It's kind of fun. So yeah, Sparkler. I really like the sparkles on the tail. Got a little heart on her cheek, and not whatever else was there normally. Seeing as Io is already kind of like a space goddess, this basically just feels like enhanced Io. I can't really think of anyone that would be better for this style of skin, aka stellar skin. Luna is now a kitty. Okay. The bow is really cool and sparkly. Very nice to look at. I like the shape of it. It doesn't really fit well with other skins, but it's one of my favorite skins to use. Or rather, it's one of my favorite bows to use. Her crest is slightly lamer than the original, but it's, you know, it's whatever. It's still nice. Kind of nice makeup or whatever. Clothes are fitting and similar to original. Not too detailed aside from the sparkles, but doesn't really need to be. I'd say the quality is also pretty good. Not super detailed, but the whole thing is just really satisfying to look at. I love the colors. Very slick in general. A tier. Okay, Jenos. We're done with Io already? That was quick. Eclipse. Yeah, nice recolor, bro. A small amount of shirt was removed. Mask is slightly different, and it's orange. That's about it. Looks kind of maybe cooler than the original, but they took off some of the original to make this skin, which I think is kind of counterproductive, and no one uses it, so I'm not a fan. I don't think that's going to be controversial. Plus the blue and orange. I know it's not terrible, but it's not good either. D tier. Soul Eater. This was like the first row of skins after the bits and pieces was abolished, and they claimed that this is the kind of skin that they would be able to make with that system gone to kind of convince players that it was okay. I was a bit disappointed about bits and pieces being gone, but since this skin in particular was what they showed off what they could do, there wasn't really much I could be mad about. This skin is very detailed for its time, and hell, it's still very detailed. The quality is incredible. Maybe I'm like speaking in the past. I remember back then thinking it was really good, but it still honestly looks really good. Like, this skin was mind-blowing at the time. The fire is beautiful. The idea is cool. The theme kind of works. It's like evil Jenos deal, like spooky demon god as opposed to whatever god he normally is. The weird faceplate thing is actually kind of cool idea for a replacement for the mask. The hair is really cool too. Pretty anime, I guess. The demon gun is also really cool. Nice eyeball. It's not slick, but looks comfy. It's nice on the eyes. You don't got no nips though. I guess demons got no nips. Though he does have horns, which kind of makes up for the lack of nips. S tier. Exarch. I think that's how you say it. This was kind of like another skin that was really highly acclaimed back in the day. I think the quality of it is still really good, but it was like top-notch quality back in the day, especially. I like how he's got like the cool loops where the original has like baggy clothes and stuff. The gun looks similar, but it's like remodeled and looks really sick, honestly. The whole theme of it fits pretty well with Jenos itself. I'm a little confused what it's trying to portray, but whatever it's portraying, I guess it does well. The cape is also similar to his original, looks really cool, and the mask is really dope. The theme is fitting. It doesn't look like Jenos, but it does feel like Jenos, especially with how scrawny he is. I feel like that's like the one thing that really puts me off. Like, I don't know, why is he so skinny? I've always thought the skin was really cool, but there's also always been something kind of bothering me a little bit about it. I'm not sure what. I think it sticks out because of the concept, and a lot of parts of it were very well executed, but there's also portions like just his torso and his legs that, although, you know, they fit very well and they help the whole thing stand out, it's really kind of boring and not too interesting. The whole skin looks cool, but in maybe a little bit of a boring way. I'm not exactly sure how to describe that, but that's the best I can do, I think. The parts that are cool are really cool, but there is also just parts that only really align with the theme and don't really play off of it in any cool way, and that just makes me think those parts are boring. Still a really good skin, I can't complain too much. Maybe it's just comparing to a lot of the newer skins that are similar to this, you know, kind of futuristic space looking thing, similar to the Genlock ones, I suppose. And this one just looks kind of okay. It looks good. It accompanies the really cool parts about the skin. But yeah, high A tier.
Ladies and
gentlemen,
we got him.
I don't really understand the theme. Is it supposed to represent how he's kind of proper? I don't know, it just doesn't seem to fit. I mean, I've never liked just normal clothes. I don't think that's very interesting or creative. I feel like they just wanted to make dapper man for some reason. But you know, I'm down for the dapper, but it's kind of uninteresting. I always seem to forget about the skin. It just seems pretty forgettable in general. Nice hat though. I don't remember how, but the effects were also a little messed up. The gun is pretty cool, but again, the theme is confusing, especially since he's supposed to be all dapper and stuff, like at a party or something, and he just brings a gun. Okay. Like, it looks cool, I can't complain about that, but I don't know why Dapper Boy is holding a gun. Makes me confused. Just kind of why? That's what I find myself asking with this skin, just why? Nothing's interesting. It's just a suit. And then he's got a cape for some reason. Like, does anyone in a suit wear a cape? It just seems like someone with a huge ego that showed up to a party with a gun. It looks okay. I can't really deny that, but it just makes me confused. It's still decent. See there. Okay. Remix. I don't know what it is about this skin specifically, but it is not appealing, straight up. I think it has something to do with kind of the sickly green, how pasty white his face kind of looks, plus those dreads. I've done kind of glowy hair like that better in the past and in the future. This is just kind of like the worst of both worlds, I suppose. There's still a lot of detail. A lot of flashing though as well, which does take away from it a little bit, but the details are there. Escape is really cool though. Got the whole remix aesthetic going on. Gun is also really cool. It all suffers from this kind of weird green color. The shoulder pads in particular are a bit odd, very pokey and bulky. Looking at the skin gives me anxiety. Enough said. That's D tier. Myrnos. Of all the characters to be a Myr guy, I guess Jenos makes the most sense. Instead of being a whole god of space or whatever, he's the god of the sea. Wow. His tail looks really good and slimy and flashy and fishy and shit. His gun, however, is honestly very dull. Not very interesting or different at all. Puffer Boy. I love him. We stand the Puffer Boy. The war paint is a nice touch. Kind of interesting concept to replace the mask. I would rather just have a mask, but yeah. The clothing, quote unquote, overall looks pretty good. A lot of fishy stuff going on. Pretty creative, I'd say. A little weird every now and then, but the whole skin is a little bit weird, so that's fine. I often have complaints with the shoulder pads, but really, these ones are actually quite good. Fins are nice. He's also got nips. What the fuck? A bunch of other male skins don't got nips. Why does he get nips? I don't really like his hair piece very much. His hair overall looks fine, though. I think the main attraction is his tail. His tail looks lovely. Very well animated as well. Weird skin in my opinion, but very good. Looks majestic as fuck. A tier. Eternal Fervor. Okay, these pyre skins, they're often a little bit hit or miss, especially since it's kind of an abstract concept. I've always felt like they've been a bit confused exactly how to represent this pyre idea. This skin in particular is kind of a miss, in my opinion. The main thing is it's just a little bit hard to tell what they're going for overall. Maybe I should have mentioned this earlier, but the whole skin, in perfect honesty, looks very dull. I feel like it's got to be the most forgettable skin in the entire game. I have nothing to back that up, but this skin just escapes me, partially just because I don't know what they're going for with this skin. The quality is okay, the hair is kind of boring, the pants are boring, the cape kind of looks like a foam cutout. The coat is alright, I guess. The gun is oddly fat, but it looks okay other than that. Kind of looks like a shooting star or something, which is kind of cool. But yeah, details are lacking, quality is okay. The whole thing altogether looks okay, I guess, but the theme, in my opinion, and how it was executed is very, very weak. C-tier. Dark Fervor. What's with these names? I have very descriptively written down, ew. It looks like mold. Yeah, that's it. Alrighty, consider that a save point, as I refuse for this video to be over 30 minutes long. So we got from Evie to Jenos in this video, and from what I just counted, that's 9 characters, and communally 20, minus any new characters we'll rank later. It feels good to get through them, but at the same time it feels even more damning seeing how long this is taking. Like at this rate, it looks like it'll take about 5 parts just to get through the entire roster, and that's not even counting everything after 4.6. This is gonna take a while. Anyway, thank you for watching as usual. I plan to upload this video while the next is partially produced, but feel free to subscribe or whatever to make sure you won't be missing it and all that jazz. Thank you for watching. If you made it this far, I hope you've enjoyed. Stay tuned, have a lovely day, evening, afternoon, and morning, and I'll see you around. Bye. X NBA TV ZV, comma.